This is a complex issue affecting millions of people worldwide. It is also considered as a menace at epidemic proportion. As a social problem, drug abuse has pervaded every aspect of human life, exacerbating economic, social, and physiological challenges of virtually all nations, states, and communities. This disturbing global phenomenon, to which no nation is immune, has a widespread in Nigeria, considered for a long time mainly as a transit country for drug trafficking, intended for Europe, East Asia, and North America. It's now a haven for drug barons. This has led to a high level of drug abuse, with the most popular being cannabis, the stimulant cocaine, opium such as heroin, and the hallucinogen ecstasy. But there is a rapidly evolving trend towards non-medicinal use of prescription drugs such as tramadol, cough syrup, and a growing number of other psychotropic substances as means of intoxication. Many see drug abuse as a cancer which, if allowed to fester, will eat deep into the fabric of the country. But the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, is not resting on its oars, as a success story after another is being registered in the fight to arrest the situation, an effort gaining momentum in the arrest, prosecution, and destruction of illicit drugs in 2022 alone. NDLEA recorded more than 2,000 arrests, including 34 drug barons, through determination, commitment, and hard work with the support of the international partners like the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and other stakeholders. But experts say in spite of these, more efforts should be geared towards awareness and rehabilitation of victims of drug abuse, as despite the rising rate of substance abuse, there is little or no data to show the extent of drug abuse and rehabilitation. That is why the United Nations, on the International Day Against Drug Abuse celebrated on June 26 annually, is focusing its theme on the people first, stop stigma and discrimination, strengthen and prevention. Now, what is the aim of the campaign? Weekend File beams its searchlight on the Nigeria's fight against drug abuse, and my guest is Femi Babafemi, Director Media Advocacy, NDLEA. I am Jummai Yusuf. A very warm welcome to Weekend File. First, Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made his first presidential diaspora engagement in France. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Usman Jibrila reports that the meeting brought together Nigerians in Europe.
We have been very impressed by the decision you took to eliminate the subsidy.
We need to work out and to think how Nigerians could keep representing Nigeria.
When I got the mic, I told them about the things happening in Nigeria and your policies that has happened in the past 3 weeks. The whole delegation wrote to me and told me they will be happy to come to Nigeria in the next few weeks.
What we have been campaigning, we are totally 100% is going to happen. So we have no doubts, we just have prayers for you.
After giving several testimonies of a good start by the Tinubu government, this group of patriots living across Europe, main concern is creating an enabling environment for investors. Nigeria, a country blessed with human and capital resources, according to them, can attain speedy economic growth with the removal of fuel subsidy and unification of the currency.
The interesting thing about this particular engagement is the extremely short time frame within which it was put together. And for that, because I know the President's program is extremely congested, it is congested. He has a lot of his counterparts here, other presidents from various parts of the world, wishing to see him. And just today, he has seen 2 heads of state. But he kept asking me, and he kept saying, "What about the diaspora? What about the Nigerian diaspora? What about the Nigerian?" He kept saying that. So, and that tells us what? It tells us that he is very much interested in this meeting.
In Sudan. So we have Nigerians here who are doing great things back home. We have Nigerians to be proud of. And we have Nigerians who, as Mr. Leke has said, are very excited about the hurricane steps you have taken as president. And the image has changed all of a sudden, and it's like we all want to come back home to Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu gave his usual commitment of taking a more holistic approach at the recovery of the country's economy from the impact of COVID-19 and rising cases of poverty, to provide access to finance and investment that will leverage inclusive growth and development.
Nigeria belongs to all of us. Our diversity is an asset if we know how to use it for our prosperity. Born of the same father in the same house, except living in different rooms. We must promote unity, stability, and economic justice for every one of us.
The president received several gifts from his host, including the famous Real Madrid defender David Olatokunbo Alaba. From the French capital Paris, Abraman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Friday concluded his official trip to Paris, France, during which he participated in the summit for a new global financing pact hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron. Aside his participation at the event, President Tinubu also held high-profile sideline meetings with fellow heads of state and government, global business leaders and chief executives of leading multilateral and development finance institutions from around the world. The summit afforded the president the opportunity of projecting on a global stage his advocacy for widening the fiscal space, economic justice for Africa as the world accelerates the pace of energy transition and the urgency of addressing the pressing issues of poverty and climate change. President Tinubu, who was initially scheduled to be back in Abuja on Saturday, has now proceeded to London for a short private visit. The president will be back in Nigeria in time for the upcoming Eid al-Kabir celebration. To the international scene, Russia machinery chief Yevgeny Prigozhin says he has ordered his forces to return to their bases in order to avoid bloodshed. Adebola Brookton Sunday reports that the situation in the center of Moscow city is reportedly calm, with residents going about their daily lives after Russian President Vladimir Putin gave an emergency televised address accusing head of the Wagner private military group of attempting to carry out an armed rebellion in Russia.
Public Relations Center of the Russian Federal Security Service said a criminal case has now been initiated against Yevgeny Prigozhin for incitement to armed insurrection. The appeal came after several recordings were posted on Prigozhin's Telegram channel, where Prigozhin claimed his unit had allegedly come under attack, accusing Russia's military leadership of orchestrating the strikes. There are no restrictions on movement so far. However, all public events have been cancelled, citing security reasons. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said all of the Russian mail security services were reporting to Putin around the clock. Putin had delivered a televised address to the nation after the Wagner group was accused of trying to organize an armed rebellion. He said any internal turmoil is a deadly threat to the statehood, to the people as a nation, calling the situation a blow to Russia and to the people. Meanwhile, the entrance to the PMC Wagner Center, headquarters of the private military group in St. Petersburg in Russia, has been blocked after the Russian armed forces have received the necessary order to neutralize those who organized the armed rebellion of the Wagner private military group. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Now, sorting and counting of ballot papers have commenced in some polling units across Sierra Leone, while in some areas, election continues as a result of high number of registered voters in those units and late arrival of election materials. Charles Alpha reports that polls began at 7 in the morning at some centers and was supposed to end by 5 in the evening.
During the day, there have been no major incidents to report. We are, as a matter of fact, even right now, witnessing the counting, and that is also proceeding without any incident. We are satisfied that the party agents are there and are observing very actively the entire process.
Reports coming from the ECOWAS Mission Situation Room indicates there hasn't been any troubling incidents from the more than 209 reports received on its dashboard from field agents.
They have been sending us information using the tablet that we give them. So we actually, from what they are saying, we are able to see it from here on the dashboard, so that if there is anything that calls for concern, we call them to verify.
We've collected data from almost all the region, and we're very excited to report that it is relatively calm, more peaceful than we thought. And then the feelers we're getting is also that the people, the citizens of this country want elections, and they have gone to the polls.
President Goodluck Jonathan was also briefed on some of the findings from field observers. Collation of council results will be at the ward level, parliamentary at the constituents level, while collation of the presidential results will be declared in Freetown by the Sierra Leone electoral body. Now, back home, Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum says agro rangers and other security operatives will be strengthened to ensure safety of farmers this cropping season. This was when he paid a condolence visit to families of the firewood sellers killed by gunmen suspected to be Boko Haram insurgents at Kaleri Shuari in Mafa local government area of the state. Muhammad Goni gives us details.
10 men were attacked by the insurgents. 2 escaped death. They were said to be firewood sellers in search of firewoods when the gunmen attacked and killed 8, as narrated by some community members. Governor Zulum, who condoled the bereaved families, condemned the killing on the innocent citizens in search of their means of livelihood and assured to take all necessary measures to protect farmers on their farmlands.
Very soon, we'll re-establish the agro rangers, widen the composition of the agro rangers, include the military, paramilitary, and others, so that we can effectively deal with the situation.
The governor equally charged farmers and other citizens not to go to places prone to attacks, even as he enjoined them to be resilient. Meanwhile, Governor Babagana Umara Zulum has frowned at restriction of farmers from accessing their farmlands, even with the improvement in the security situation. The governor was at the Muna Gate checkpoint when he ran into farmers waiting to be allowed to fast, where he emphasized the need to allow them access their farmlands early morning to ensure food security.
We shall ensure establishment of a strong mechanism that can allow farmers to cultivate their lands.
Some of the farmers who spoke to NTA News alleged that the gate is not open early enough to allow passage, and even when it is eventually open, they have to come down from vehicles, raise their hands and walk some distance to go to their farmlands. Pockets of attack in recent times led to killings of several farmers around Mule area close to Maiduguri. In Maiduguri, Muhammad Goni, NTA News.
Now, normalcy has returned to the Tredmore estate, which was flooded on Friday. Abdullah Ajia brings us up to date.
Barely 24 hours into the unfortunate Friday flood incident at the Tredmore Mega City Estate in Lugbe, residents and the community here have since picked their paces to continue with life as life has gone back to normal. But they're still taking stock of what is missing and what is remaining.
It was terrible and it was hell yesterday. In fact, to give thanks and a very mighty glory to the Lord Most High, at least for saving lives.
Since that yesterday, we didn't find any life dead. But suddenly there's one man, Uber driver, that bring blue pigeon here. The man mix. That is the only person that missed there. So let them come and do something about this place.
The problem of that Tredmore estate is where they channeled the water. The water came from Lokogoma, Karadimawa, and when they channeled the water to Tredmore estate, coming to Main Road where the water pass, it cannot, very small culvert where the water pass. Even as I'm coming back yesterday, the water cover service lane.
The ripple effects of the flood extends to other locations like Lugbe 1 Extension, Kapwa Road, some kilometers north of the Trademore estate, leaving its relics of destruction on the community.
Almost cutting off our road, and you know, the huge amount that we spent fixing this road is all gone now. This culvert that you see here was built by the community. This is beyond us as a community to fix. If nothing is done about it, then we are cut off entirely.
Residents of the community reiterate that lasting engineering solutions is needed to put a stop to this perennial challenge. In Abuja, Abdullah Hajia, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Speaker House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas has urged relevant authorities to swing into action to avert a reoccurrence of the magnitude of floods that ravaged the Trademore estate in Lugbe, Abuja, destroying properties worth millions of naira. In a reaction to the incident, the Speaker sympathizes with the residents of the area over the unfortunate incident. He says it is regrettable that people going about their normal lives found themselves in such difficult situation with their families. The Speaker urges the public to heed to early warnings by relevant government agencies to mitigate the impact of flood in the country. The 10th National Assembly is working closely with the executive to reform some national policies that are not strong enough to bring the needed economic prosperity to Nigerians. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, announced this at a special Thanksgiving Mass in his honor. Clement Bariku reports.
This is the first official visit of Senator Godswill Akpabio to his senatorial district after his election as Senate President, and incidentally, the Thanksgiving Mass coincided with the church's celebration of the birthday of one of Jesus Christ's disciples, John the Baptist. Catholic Bishop of Ikot-Ekpene Diocese, Most Reverend Camillus Umor, prayed that the tenacity of John the Baptist to stand by what is right will be a lesson for the 10th National Assembly to always stand for what is right and just, thereby uniting the country.
Whatever laws that you'll be able to bring for the welfare of our country to be those that you write your name on the sands of time.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio renews commitment that the 10th Senate will support President Bola Tinubu in his strides to give Nigerians a purposeful leadership.
If your problem are brought to an end from Ikot-Ekpene all the way to Calabar, wouldn't you be happy? If the DC fund that you have been looking for becomes a reality, wouldn't you be happy?
Former Governor of Ebonyi State, Senator David Umahi, and other lawmakers expressed confidence in the leadership of Senator Akpabio. The Thanksgiving Mass featured prayers for the Senate President and family, the 10th National Assembly, as well as the executive arm of government. From Ikot-Ekpene, Clement Barikui, NTA News.
Ahead of Eid-ul-Kabir celebration, wife of the President Oluremi Tinubu has put smiles on the faces of some Nigerians. All Progressives Congress women leader Betta Edu, on behalf of the spouses of the President and Vice President, took delivery of sacrificial rams, food items including rice and clothing, to 30 selected mosques within and around the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
And of course, through her initiative, which will be coming on board very soon, to the less privileged, they would also make these donations to the mosques every time there's a Salah event coming up. They'll make these donations to churches every time we have the Easter and Christmas celebration. They would equally be reaching out to our traditional rulers so that they can feel that impact, and their prayers is that these items that are being donated will trickle down to the grassroots, to the vulnerable, to those who truly need these items, just to ensure that everyone is happy and we can have food on our table.
Items will be handed over to them, which they will rebag the bags into 5 kilos so that the distribution can go round and wide.
In whatever he does in his office as the president of this country, that his ultimate wish
is to serve Nigeria to the best of his ability, so that Nigerians and whoever has business with Nigeria will have prosperity, peace, and tranquility.
Salu Abdullahi Gwanara reports that the theme also solicited support from Nigerians through prayers to enable the government to remain focused on its goals of fulfilling its contract with Nigerians. To education matters, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says plans are underway for UTME candidates to start using their mobile phones for examinations. Registrar of JAMB, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, stated this at the 2023 policy meeting on admissions into tertiary institutions, presided over by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Andrew Adejo, in Abuja. Olainka Ojo reports that the policy meeting pegged the national minimum tolerable UTME score for the 2023 admission into universities at 140, while for admissions into polytechnic, colleges of education and innovative enterprises institutions is 100.
Going by statistics, there are 1,129 tertiary institutions in Nigeria, and in 2022, 1.8 million candidates sat for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. Out of this number, 1.7 million scored above 100 marks in the examination. Although 2022 admission process is still ongoing, out of 700,000 candidates, more than 500,000 candidates have gained admission. Of the number, 5,833 candidates scored 300 and above. 49,494 scored between 250 and 299, while 407,300 candidates had between 140 and 159. Now, in this auditorium are decision makers in the country's tertiary education system.
Between the last policy meeting and now, major innovations and projects on registration and admission by JAMB include the following. 1. Extension of CAPS and IBAS platform to registrars of tertiary institutions.
And the fate of candidates seeking admission into the country's tertiary institutions are in their hands.
140, raise your hand. 140 being the minimum.
The inability of candidates to gain admission into tertiary institutions has become a major challenge for the board. This is because more candidates prefer what they call professional and sellable courses, leaving out programs in education and agricultural sciences with more spaces to be filled. Another is the challenge of false alarm, intrusion of school principals, undisclosed admissions, examination malpractices by parents and students, and no adherence to CAPS by some institutions.
Any admission to have been found to any student outside the CAPS should not be countenanced and shall henceforth attract the strictest punishment irrespective of the status of the violator.
Even though no stipulated date has been fixed for the commencement of the 2023 admission exercise, the board is advocating the establishment of a mobile examination malpractices tribunal to deal with criminal aspects, while institutions handle the misconducts. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Governor Caleb Mutfwang is asking National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies NIMS to continue to produce policymakers that will shape the nation towards sustainable development. This was while declaring open annual general meeting of the Institute. Salou Abdurrahman Mohammed reports.
Here for the 43rd Annual General Meeting of the Alumni Association of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies are participants from government parastatals as well as private sector.
The feeling is absolutely priceless, like I said. We have come a long way, and as the younger generation are coming out to take the mantle of leadership, we are there to support the existing leaders, and we're there to also ensure that there's a very successful transition.
We forged a way of taking our researches out
to the government so that they can implement it for the success of this country.
Addressing the participants, Governor Caleb Mutfwang urged them to sustain their selfless services for the nation. The governor encouraged NIPS to continue to produce policymakers that will shape the country towards national development.
I therefore want you to continue to do your best, not to rest on your oars. This is a time, in fact, that the nation will reap from your experience, that the nation will reap from your institutional knowledge to be able to guide those who are contributing to national development.
A new executive members of the association is expected to emerge at the end of the meeting. In Jos, Salah Abdurrahman Mohammed, NTA News.
The federal government's implementation of a hybrid mini solar energy grid in Niger State through its Rural Electrification Agency commenced in 2017. Ibrahim Hamidu reports on maintenance of the site by the Rural Electrification Agency.
Among the 6 geopolitical zones in the country, the Nchitagi community in Bidda, Niger State, has access to alternative source of electricity through solar power energy. This hybrid mini-grid has the capacity to illuminate 700 homes in the village.
Because within 13 hours, I used to spend 3,500 naira.
The project was fit during its planning stage under the performance-based grant program of the World Bank with the Nigeria Electrification Project as a component and implementation agency.
And from some of the feedback that we're getting, most people actually rely on petrol generators, and with this mini grid now, it means that they are going to buy less of that petrol, so what that means is that with the subsidy removal, this could serve as a palliative that will help them cushion the effect of the removal of subsidy.
To close the energy gap in the country through the Rural Electrification Fund, the agency promotes expansion of the grid and development of off-grid electrification as mandated by the federal government.
So the impact is also very, very clear. What we now need to do in conjunction with PowerGen is to see how we can expand this system to serve more demand that they have.
Clean, safe, and reliable energy is the objective of the project to boost socio-economic activity in the community, as well as to explore and optimize the usage of the system. In Danchitagi, Bidda local government area, Niger State, Ibrahim Ahamidu, NTA News.
We'll go on a break now. When we return, our conversation on Nigeria's fight against drug abuse will commence. Do stay.
My victory does not render me any more Nigerian than my opponent, nor does this render them any less patriotic. They shall forever be my fellow compatriots, and I will treat them as such. They represent important constituencies and concerns that wisdom dare not ignore.
The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, felicitates with all Muslim faithfuls as we celebrate Eid al-Kabir. We all are enjoined to ensure tolerance for others and obedience to the rule of law. Drive safely as you travel. Ensure your vehicles are in roadworthy conditions. Don't drink and drive. Overspeed. Overload. Don't use cell phones while driving, and always wear your seat belts. Your life is valuable to your loved ones and the nation. For any emergencies, please call toll-free 122. Happy Eid al-Kabir.
Are you a dealer in cars, jewelry, precious metals and stones and luxury goods? Are you into real estate, or are you an estate agent, surveyor, valuer, developer or broker? Are you into the hospitality industry, lottery business, or are you a mortgage broker, tax consultant or an accountant? Do you have a supermarket, pools betting and consulting or construction company? If you have, go and obtain your certification from the Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, SCUML, and be free to do your business within the ambits of the law. SCUML has the responsibility to to monitor, supervise, and regulate the activities of designated non-financial business and professions, DNFBPs, across the country. Please note that the SCUMO certificate is not a guarantee of legitimacy of any business. To register, visit www.scumo.org. For collection of certificate, visit any EFCC office nearest to you. Remember, registration is free.
SCUMO, securing Nigeria's business environment. This message is from Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
The rains are here again. Seasonal climate forecasts have revealed the possibility of flooding in several communities of Nigeria. Clear away solid wastes that block drainages and waterways to mitigate the risk of flooding in your area. Evacuate from flood-prone areas to safe higher grounds and report any flood incidents to emergency responders near you. Listen to weather forecast and comply to safety instructions. Disaster management is everybody's business. This message is brought to you by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. NEMA, for the sake of the distressed.
Taste. Mosquitoes enter everywhere, preventing you from having a peaceful sleep. This is why I recommend the Mortein LED device. Mortein's powerful formula reaches every corner because LED offers overnight protection for your loved ones. Mortein, our #1 choice.
Bye, Mom.
He's going to play in this weather? Why did you let him go? He might fall ill.
And if he doesn't go out for practice, how will he win more trophies? To protect our family from illness-causing germs during the rainy season, we use Dettol soap every day.
Dettol with germ defense gives you protection. Rainy season brings a lot of germs, and Dettol soap's germ defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
You're welcome back. Now let's take reports to push our conversation. While security agencies along the border posts are complementing the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA's mandate of clamping down on drug distribution network, non-governmental organizations are prioritizing drug prevention strategies using robust sensitization mechanism, emphasizing the ills of addiction. It is an all-encompassing approach to ending drug menace, but the limited number of treatment centers is slowing down the drug rehabilitation process. Michael Olale reports.
It has been a fiery battle against drug abuse, with major seizures like 193 billion naira worth of cocaine busted at a warehouse in Ikorodu last year, showing real effort. But, like the case of a chicken's feather concealing the sweat, high rate of addiction among youth is downplaying the energy exerted on the fight against drug abuse.
In this report, I think starting from the January to date, we have succeeded in seizing over 500 kilograms of cannabis indica, which popularly they call Colorado. We have over 7 persons standing trial.
Complementing this effort are the Customs and Immigration Services, which hardly with the Federal Operations Unit supervising the 6 states in the zone makes any seizure without cannabis. In fact, just last month, close to 10,000 parcels were intercepted.
Investigation we gathered, the product is from Ghana. It was discharged from a boat into this truck.
using the War Against Drug Abuse initiative known as WADA. Supporting NGOs are preaching education as against incarceration.
At every level, we need to find our young people engaged. We need to engage them in socio-economic activities in order for them to exert their energies in the right direction.
Treatment is a major aspect of winning the war, but now that the establishment of NDLEA's 6 rehabilitation centers across the country is still a prospect, key players recommend greater synergy with the private sector.
People are not aware of the ones that are existing. For me, the first way to start is for parents to be parents again.
Stakeholders say the effectiveness of implementability solutions to fighting drug abuse depends largely on willingness of major players to sustain the tempo. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Well, and joining me in the studio to talk about issues on drug abuse is the Director Media Advocacy NDLEA, Femi Baba. Femi, you're welcome to Weekend 5.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being here.
One of the respondents say we have to go back to when parents were parents, and drug abuse is global, Nigeria inclusive. How deep is the problem, and what are the efforts out there to mitigate it? You've been doing a lot. We've seen all the success story that the NDLEA has recorded so far.
Yeah, absolutely. The basis of measuring the depth of the problem will go back to the 2018 drug survey, which gives us a very clear picture of the number of people abusing illicit substances in Nigeria, which as at then stood at 14.3 million Nigerians, and that translates to 14.4% prevalence rate in the country, as against 5.6 average across the world. That shows that we have almost 3 times the global prevalence average. So that gives us a picture of what the situation is in Nigeria. And but then the good thing is, ever since then, the government at the center in Nigeria has really rolled out a lot of initiatives and empowered a presidential committee on advising the federal government on this, which was called PASEDA then, and incidentally the current chairman of NDLA was the chairman of that presidential advisory committee on the elimination of drug abuse, PASEDA. And ever since General Marwa came on board in 2021, January 18 precisely, he came like somebody who was fully prepared, and that really changed a lot of things on this in this regard, creating a balance in the efforts of the agency between drug supply reduction and drug demand reduction. While on the one hand, the agency has been very busy and vociferous in enforcing the law with over 31,675 arrests, and with the conviction of more than 5,147 offenders, and seizure of over 6,252 tons of illicit substances. But beyond this, on the other hand, which is the drug demand reduction efforts, the agency has gone all out to create a very strong balance by initiating the War Against Drug Abuse Advocacy Initiative to mobilize everybody, starting from the home, the church, the faith-based organizations, communities, like one of the respondents, Dr. Dokun Adedeji, said there, at the family level, parents have to wake up, own their responsibility, and do what they need to do. Intentional parenting, we need to do that. And that advocacy, WADA advocacy, has really been doing a lot of mobilization. And that's why you see all across the country today, everybody is talking about the drug problem. That means there is a level of awareness which we've created with all the activities of the agency, and again partnering with a lot of other stakeholders, civil society organizations, and religious bodies. But beyond that, again, we've also gone in the area, apart from the advocacy, which is actually meant to drive the prevention. Then we've also gone into treatment to provide succor, to provide help to those that are already abusing these illicit substances. As a result of that, we have about 34 counseling and rehabilitation facilities across all our commands across the country, complementing what the services provided by the model rehab rehab centers owned by the Federal Ministry of Health, that's the psychiatric hospitals across the country. I think we have about 11 of that. And in addition to that, again, like your report also said, we've had the federal government approval to build 6 model rehab centers. I think at the moment we're on 3 of them. We have provisions for 3 of them in this year's budget. We hope that we'll be able to have the balance in the next fiscal year. But again, after that, we've also ensured that for those who have been afraid or scared of stigmatization, those who are not willing to come out, we've also made it possible and easy for them by providing a drug abuse call center where people can sit in the comfort of their homes with a toll-free helpline. They can call and seek help. That way they are removed from any fear of stigma or any fear of discrimination. That way they have no reason to fear, to be afraid of being judged or being stigmatized. And that has really been working quite, some hundreds of thousands have been approaching, making use of that facility, platform.
Okay, we'll talk about the reach out to the younger population and how the rehabilitation center has been able to curtail the spread of drug abuse in Nigeria. We'll come back after this break and we'll interrogate these issues.
They're still heavy on my mind tonight. The pain is deep inside, but I still want to hide. Happy birthday!
Is this what you really want to do?
Yes, Dad. That's what I've been trying to show you.
Fight for your dreams the advanced way with Glow LTE Advanced. The power of 3 data networks in one. Get a Glow SIM or dial *301#.
Bye, Mom. He's going to play in this weather. Why did you let him go? He might fall ill.
And if he doesn't go out for practice, how will he win more trophies? To protect our family from illness-causing germs during the rainy season, we use Dettol soap every day.
Dettol with germ defense gives you protection. Raining season brings a lot of germs, and Dettol soap's germ defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
Mosquitoes enter everywhere, preventing you from having a peaceful sleep. This is why I recommend the Mortine LED device. Mortine's powerful formula reaches every corner because LED offers overnight protection for your loved ones.
Mortine, our #1 choice.
If you want to become something, become a child again. Why be a patient? If you must worry, then worry about winning. Why worry about germs? When you come home, bring tales and stories. Why bring in germs?
Shield your families from germs. When Dettol is a part of every household bucket, then you and your family can stay protected from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Everyday use of Dettol keeps my loved ones protected.
Our boss was like, a decent fashion designer only gets home at midnight. Midweight.
Man like Osime, Papa just the chop Italian league like Oha.
These are real housewives of Abuja. Those women are fire. What does OJ say again? A relationship with money is alhamdulillah. Because they wear uniform, you want to treat people anyhow. Imagine this officer. I will clear out one lie.
Don't cost.
Bruh, come on there. Face no matter. The biggest dragon for Westeros, now small pikin face am, climb am, right am like Formula 1. Yeah, catch me.
He found the gold and asked her for just shaking me piece of the pie, and she killed him for it.
Obini, fair women, no.
No one tells a story like we do. Showmax, Africa's original streaming service.
In the heat of the summer, walking on the road feels like walking on hot coals.
How do I cope with this heat?
And how do I cope with that bad odor?
By staying 5 degrees cooler.
Body odor is caused by germs, and on hot days, the sweating and odor are more. That's why you need to get the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which offers up to 5 degrees instant cooling sensation and protects you from 99.9% odor-causing germs.
Come to the National Center for Women Development, a home away from home. With our beautifully renovated hotel, the center can also boast of a 1,700-seater auditorium for conferences. The edifice has an African, continental, and Arabian restaurants, a daycare creche for nursing mothers. There is also an ICT department for computer training, and also a training department for catering, tailoring, and hairdressing. For more information, please contact the National Center for Women Development, Tafab Aliawe, opposite the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN headquarters, Central District Area, Abuja, or telephone 070-5111-1163. National Center for Women Development, rebranding, restructuring, and repositioning.
Thanks for rejoining us, and my guest, Baba Femi, the Director Media Advocacy, NTA, is still here in the studio. Femi, you've talked about reach out to communities with traditional rulers. But one question I need to ask you is, how far has the awareness reached schools? Because most of these drugs is targeted at the productive population, that means the youth, and most parents now are out looking for livelihoods and how to survive in this country. And have you been reaching out to schools from primary to secondary school to the university? Because they say catching them young is key.
Absolutely. We try to engage with every constituency, so to say, of the society. That is across board. We do not have to leave anyone out, and that's why we're working not only at the level of the agency, working with other partners. We have the UNODC that is coordinating and working on the Unplugged program. That is where we go to schools, educate the teachers, so that the knowledge about substance abuse could be passed from the teachers down to the students themselves. And yesterday we had a quiz competition. Even this year, marking this year's World Drug Day, we had essay competition as part of the process of raising awareness among our students across board. And World Drug Day would be having the finalists, that is the winners of that. And again, we also have we're working partnering with MTN ASAP program, which is also which also had a quiz competition among the schools across the country. The final of that competition held yesterday in Abuja here. I was actually the host, so I was really amazed and impressed at the level of awareness, the level of understanding of these students about substance abuse and related matters. That shows that the advocacy that all the stakeholders have been pushing across all these schools have really been making impact, because what really matters is to be able to equip them with the skills, with the knowledge about the dangers of abusing these illicit substances, and how to guide themselves against the pressure, peer pressure, and what the society brings their way, so that they'll be able to stand their ground. And all of these, I can tell you, have been working. I tell you that indeed we take this advocacy to every part of the country, to every to all the schools, not by ourselves alone. We actually work with other partners like civil society organizations, NGOs, and our commands, I can tell you, have been doing tremendously well across the state. Every week we produce short videos of which we call NDLA Weekly Review, where we record all of these visits. We call them WADA advocacy visits and lectures, sensitization lectures, which actually capture all the visits, all the programs our officers have been taking to these schools across board, and that has been enormous and very supportive, I mean, effective, that I can tell you.
Okay, Femi, you reeled out some statistics and some numbers, but is there a database of drug abusers like it's done in other climes? You know, Your name is there. Once you commit another crime, once they type it in, your name is out there. And why is the war on drugs so hard to win, despite the successes recorded?
Yeah, the first one, whether there is a database, definitely the agency has a whole directorate of planning, research, and statistics, where all of these are coordinated. All our commands when there are arrests. That's why I could reel out statistics of all the arrests made by the agency in the last 2.5 years. I just said we made over 31,675 arrests, with even those that have gone through counseling and rehabilitation facilities. That over 23,000 of them in the last 2.5 years. Also, I wouldn't have been able to reel out those figures if we don't have statistics about all of these people that have passed through. And for those even that have been arrested and prosecuted, and those that have served jail, we've seen people that we have arrested first, second, third time. All of these we have their data, we have their facts, their details in our database. That's absolutely we have that in place.
Okay, so how strong or stringent is the law to punish offenders, to serve as deterrent for others?
We're glad, I would like to say that we're glad that at the moment the 9th National Assembly indeed passed the amended act of the agency, which I'm aware is in the villa now, awaiting presidential assent. The new amended act really strengthens the deterrence effect of the laws, and because that will remove the option of fine, which that enables our revered and respected judges to award some fines in lieu of going to jail. Beyond that, again, that also strengthens our determination to ensure that we don't just get these people prosecuted and sent to jail, but we also go after their assets to deny them the benefits, the benefits of the proceeds of this crime, because that is actually a major motivation for them. Like the chairman of the agency, General Mara, will say that some of these people will prefer, they wouldn't mind to go to jail as long as they will come back and still meet their assets and funds in the bank accounts there, so that they can continue their life as usual. But unfortunately for them, now we don't just go after them, sending them to jail. We also go after their assets to ensure that they don't have anything left for them. So that, I can tell you, is really making impact. We're already doing that. We have quite a lot of the cases, especially involving the big barons, that we've had to, block over 126 bank accounts of an individual, and several of such things. All of those things are meant to actually deter them, and that, I can tell you, is working. And then, as for why it's difficult to win this war, don't forget that it's not something that we can do overnight. It's a problem that has been deep there, and it's also a global issue. There are quite a number of factors, predisposing factors, quite a number of things that we have to address, and that's why the agency is also working with government across all levels, so that some of these issues could be addressed, and these issues will protect or discourage people from actually getting involved in this illicit trade and substance abuse.
Okay, Femi Babafemi, Director Media Advocacy, NDLEA, wish you all the best on the 26th as you celebrate the annual day on the fight against drug abuse.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on Weekend File. Now, sports update. Nigerian girls are through to the FIBA Africa Under-16 Championship in Tunisia next month. These are more on Sports Update with Bade Adele.
The Nigerian Under-16 female basketball team are through to the FIBA Africa Under-16 tournament in Tunisia, slated for July 13 to 23, after they recorded an impressive 65-17 win over host Ghana at the FIBA Under-16 Africa Zone 3 qualifier. Only Nigeria and Ghana made entries for the female category of the qualifiers. Back home, defending champions Eternal Grace Ministry have crashed out of the Bayelsa State Governors Football Tournament known as Prosperity Cup after suffering a 6-5 defeat to Rose of Sharon FC through penalties. The quartet of Polako FC, Biseni United, Oanese FC and Panse 3 FC overcame their respective opponents to move to the next round. Elsewhere, the sports community in Lagos joined other states across the country for the 2023 Olympic Day run. The event put together by the Nigerian Olympic Committee gave participants the opportunity to promote a healthy lifestyle through exercise.
Olympic Day is marked today around the world, signifying relationship, friendship, unity of purpose.
The exercise is the fuel of life. Good health.
Similarly, federal civil servants have been challenged to take advantage of the monthly aerobics exercise being organized by the Federation of Public Service Games to boost their physical health as well as improve their productivity. This was the message as more than 1,000 civil servants, including those from NTA, participated in this month's event, which held at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja.
We have a body that is fit, physically fit, we will be mentally strong.
Our focus should not just be recreation, keeping fit, to enhance efficiency and productivity in the service.
One of them is that you keep healthy. You keep some of the incoming issues that you have with your health at bay.
And finally, world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz will play Alex de Minaur in the final at Queens after the top seed took out Sebastian Korda 6-3, 6-4 on Saturday. Should Alcaraz win Sunday's final, he would reclaim the world number 1 ranking from Novak Djokovic and be seeded first at Wimbledon, which begins on July the 3rd. With sports update, Badi Adeleye, NTA News.
Thank you, Buddy, and it's a wrap on Weekend File this week. Thanks so much for your time. I am Jummai Yusuf.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Drive in the rain?
It depends on the velocity of the rain.